It's October, which means I'm late making my Halloween dress for this year, but it is happening. I allowed the people of Instagram to vote for both the fabric and the pattern. It was tied and they voted for the mummy. We're gonna make a wrap dress this year. Let's go. I have a piece of fabric that's 60 inches wide by 100 inches long, and it is directional, which means that we're gonna have to sew the circle skirt in pieces, and I'm gonna need 3 because I want it to wrap. So I'm drawing a little center marking for my line so I can figure out kind of where I want that. Each of these sections is gonna be 28 inches long, which should leave me with plenty of space to cut out sleeves and a bodice, but I can squeeze bodice pieces into the side and then just cut out the sleeves and have a little bit of extra left over. Now, if you don't know how to make a circle skirt, I explained it much more thoroughly in my video from last year. The most important thing is to make sure that you measure your waist and do the math to actually figure out what the radius needs to be. Once you have the radius, you're going to add your skirt length to it. I'm doing something like 24 inches. And then make sure you cut your waist radius smaller than you think you need it to be. I usually cut it like an inch shorter, and it usually stretches out to the right size because it's a stretchy fabric and it's cut on a bias. But I'm making 3 panels because I want that overlap to happen. The first semicircle I'm doing exactly like normal. That's going to be the back side of the skirt. I'm tracing the back panel onto the front panel, but only about halfway through this section because I really want that curve to happen to make that wrap dress look. This will give us a complete circle skirt, but still have that overlap in the front. I'm just marking how short I want the shortest part to be and then making sure all the curves hit from there. I'm making sure to put right sides together so when I flip over the top panel, it becomes the other side of the front half of the skirt, if that makes sense. Now I'm just pinning the waists together for the front of the fabric and then pinning the 2 sides on so I can make sure that this is actually going to fit me because the time to make adjustments is now. I'm too lazy to move the camera. But as I discovered last year, tracing a shirt to make a bodice works. So I'm just going to trace this right on there. To make your life easier while you're doing this, fold your shirt in half down the middle, put both sides of your fabrics at the same time, fold them in half down the middle, and I'm not even going to actually trace this out. I'm just going to cut approximately where the seams are. The fabric is stretchy, it is forgiving, it's going to be nice to me. My scissors, however, are not sharp enough to cut through 4 layers of fabric at once, which is why I'm doing a couple at a time there. But now you see I have those 2 pieces, and one of these will become the front. I'm just going to mark the bottom of where the collar goes with a pin. Here I'm just grabbing all the excess triangles, cut off the edges of those circles from the skirt. I'm trimming them all to about the same size so I can use them as my pockets. And just to make my life easier, because who needs patterns, I'm going to trace the sleeve of my dress from last year to make my sleeves for this year. This time I am pinning on the approximate seams, and that's just because the piece is so small. I know it's going to move, and I don't want to deal with that later. Now I'm going to lay out all the pieces so you can see how they fit together. Your bodice pieces will be sewn together at the shoulders like this, and then your sleeves go on before you fold it in half and sew down the sides. When you lay out your skirt pieces, make sure the wider part of your triangles is facing the bottom of your skirt, and you'll sew on the edges of those pockets first before you sew the entire skirt together. It occurs to me that at no point during this process did I pause. Just kind of went straight from cutting. Now I'm just sewing. I'm actually on the last step, putting some bias tape on the edge of the skirt so I don't have to hem it. And I can just hear Kiana Bonolo yelling at me make a prototype. I don't have that in me. I'm way too lazy for that. We Micarah tours our way through these sewing projects. Here we go. And did I mention it glows in the dark? So this is the final dress. I really like the way it came out. It fits super comfortably. Because I kind of speed ran the sewing of the dress, I didn't measure as well as I should have where the skirt and the bodice hit. And this seam originally was very pronounced in how crooked it was. It's still a little crooked. I've worn it a few times now, so now the curvature kind of matches the wrappage, which is nice. I did end up tacking down the skirt where they meet, and honestly I probably should have just sewn down this whole flap where it touches the other one. Another change I would make, I put bias tape around the entire edge of the skirt, including the inside skirt flap, and I don't like the way it feels when it touches my legs. So I did tack it down to the pocket just so it wouldn't touch me as much. Otherwise, it's a great dress and I really like wearing it. It's comfortable, and it's fun when I do manage to get to a less lit area and the eyes glow. And maybe I'll be better at posting my Halloween dress video earlier in the month next year. But if you want to participate in those votes and possibly any other projects I'm working on, feel free to follow me on Instagram or any other social media accounts. All the links are below. Thanks for watching and happy Halloween! This is upset. See how far I have to travel for some direct sunlight. I'm chargy.